My name is Dimitris Stevis. I'm a professor in Colorado State University, but I also one of the principal investigators of environmental justice at Colorado State University. It's interesting that my university wants to be a leader in sustainability. And in the course of making that particular effort, it has become apparent that some of our practices are not particularly green, and equally importantly, that a substantial number of the people who work for the university cannot afford to stay within the city. So they have to commute, which creates not only a social inequality problem, but also an environmental, has a serious environmental impact. So that's one of the issues that we're looking into, and we're trying to have an impact on our university as an institution. In addition to that, a number of us are interested in a variety of different environmental justice issues. I am perhaps, for instance, interested in work and workers and the idea of just transition into a green economy. A number of my colleagues are very much interested in the social environmental impacts of hydraulic fracturing, which is a very, very important issue in my area. It takes place within 10 to 15 miles from where we live, and our university is very much involved in promoting the extraction of natural gas. In our particular case, with respect to the university itself, I think there has been, as in other organizations, there has been a sense that if you green the university, everything else will follow, or other things are not as important. Luckily, the fact that not everybody within the university is equally privileged, is equally able to enjoy what we may call a green university, has become apparent. And there are some efforts to address this problem, let's say through affordable housing that will provide people with access to the city and will make it easier for them to get from and back and to work rather than drive a great distance. With respect to natural gas and hydraulic fracturing, the extraction of natural gas and oil has been one of the mainstays of our state for 50 or 60 years. And it turns out that one of the largest deposits of natural gas is only about 20 miles from where the university is. Clearly, a number of poor communities on the eastern part of Colorado see the extraction of natural gas as a great source of income. However, it has very serious impact on the environment and, of course, on the value of housing, because with hydraulic fracturing or horizontal hydraulic fracturing, it is possible to dig a hole about a mile, let's say, from a house, and then drive a pipe underneath the earth, and before you know it, somebody is drilling gas underneath your house. My organization has established some very strong connections with local activists, people in cities around the region who have been taking a strong stance with respect to hydraulic fracturing. We have tried to provide them with evidence. A number of my collaborators are doing immediate research on hydraulic fracturing and have published the research both in academic journals and also in public or more general audience journals. We provide that kind of information to them as necessary. So that's one of the ways. So we have seen ourselves not only as an academic or research-based organization, but also as an organization that can provide evidence-based advice to people in the region. And within the university, we're working on drafting a manifesto for a green university based on 7 or 8 roundtables we have had over the last 2 years discussing environmental justice from a wide variety of perspectives. Well, the major difficulty in my work is that we do not yet have significant resources to institutionalize our work. So essentially, we are doing this work in addition to all the other academic and research work that we have to do. We have been encouraged to create a center, but the resources are not there yet, and so this is something we need to pursue. Another issue, and we have been dealing with that a great deal, is that when somebody mentions that I'm interested in environmental justice, immediately the question that follows is, that means you cannot do scientific research because you're evidently biased. And we have come to the conclusion, after a number of years of deliberation, that we are objective, we are doing research the best way possible, but we are not neutral. And that this is something that allows us to provide good research to pursue the goals that we have identified, in the same sense that other people may do good research to pursue alternative goals. Well, for some people, it would be that justice can be achieved through more deliberation, more participation. We think those are very important. At least they provide an opportunity to air differences, to confront the various problems. But we also think that in order to achieve environmental justice and justice in general, there has to be a significant reallocation of resources and change of priorities. So we look at environmental justice in conjunction with social justice. And in the case of our university, our argument has been that there have to be a significant reallocation of resources rather than the provision of some monies to make things a little bit better. This is a very important issue for us because the university is allocating hundreds of millions of dollars to what in the United States would be called semi-professional sports. We would very much like to see the same thing happening with respect to providing affordable housing to those employees of the university who cannot afford housing within the city, both for social reasons and also to minimize the sprawl that haunts most American cities and to make it easier for them to get to work without having to drive tens of miles every day. So that's one thing. With respect to hydraulic fracturing, we believe that cities, and we have been advocating that cities ought to have some autonomy in terms of deciding whether hydraulic fracturing ought to take place within their boundaries. Of course, in that part, we cannot decide on those issues, but this is where we have been spending some of our energies. I am very interested in the question of just transition. It's a framework that has been developed over the last 20 years by labor unions, but now it has been adopted by communities and larger organizations around the globe. And I see it in two ways. If a particular city, if a particular organization, if a particular country decides that they want to green their economy, I think they provide an opening to also make that green transition a just transition. So I think in those circumstances, the challenges are a little bit different. With respect to those instances where, in fact, there's no interest in transitioning towards a green economy or green society, the challenge is much higher. But I still believe that there are ways to insert questions of environmental justice, starting with some of the things that we consider to be everyday necessities, whether it's water, pollution, health, and so on. So there are ways to insert questions of environmental justice even under circumstances that sometimes we think are impossible.